So again, there are definitely men out there who say things like that, but when it comes to at least passive victim blaming or trivialization of these cases, it's the women who are doing it. They're not actually obviously saying the things that the men tend to say, but that's the man's way. The men are more active or more obvious about how they victim blame, but the women are more passive because they don't choose to acknowledge the whole innocent until proven guilty concept, and they make decisions on whether a woman was raped or not based on sex. Here's the thing, right? Like if a woman came up to my car right now and was like, hey, like, I don't know where to go, like, I just felt like I should, like, I could talk to you about this or something like that, but like, you know, I was raped and I don't know who to turn to. My instant reaction would not be, oh, well, you probably had it coming. You know, I mean, look at you. You know, like, that's not what I would say. I would say, okay, well, let's figure this out. I'd probably call 911. I would do something. The point is, I would do something. But here's the differentiation, right? And I think that this is another way that the left likes to play with words, because there's a difference between believing women and taking something seriously, and they're not the same thing. But I think that the left equates the two. So whenever I said that I don't believe women, they said, oh, you don't care about women. It's like, no, here is how people on my side of the political spectrum view this. If someone comes up to my car right now and says, hey, dude, there's a bomb under your car, you might want to get out. And by the way, I think if you turn the car off, you might detonate it. So I would say, okay, well, I don't know that this man is telling the truth. I don't necessarily believe him because, you know, I have my suspicions. I mean, he could just be saying that because, you know, he might want to steal my car. But at the same time, I don't want to blow up. So I take his allegations seriously. So what that means is I might still have my suspicions, which I think is fair, because here's the thing, right? Like, yes, I have this going on in the back of my head that this guy might just be trying to steal my car, but because we have a law, we have a system, I'm not too worried if he decides to do something stupid like trying to steal my car, because I can just report him, call 911, whatever. But at the same time, like, I also have something to lose in this. So I would say, okay, cool. So what I would do is, and this is exactly how it would work in a rape case, I'll explain the parallels. So this guy coming up to my car saying that there's a bomb under my car is like a woman coming forward and saying, hey, I was raped. You should not have an opinion as to whether or not what this person is saying is right or wrong. But that doesn't mean that you have to believe it. It just means that you take it seriously. And so when you take something seriously, you go through the motions of figuring out if this person is telling the truth or not. And so in this case, I don't know that I believe that this person is telling the truth to me. But again, if we're going off the statistics proving that 93% of all 93 to 98% of all cases are proven to be true, in America, I would say that the statistics are probably right about the same. Like 98% of all people who walk up to you and say that there's a bomb under your car, they're probably not doing that to lie. That's not a common way that people steal your car, right? So it is probable that this person is telling the truth, but there is still that discrepancy where this person could be lying. And if this person is lying, they're going to steal my car. Or in this case, it's a woman who's lying for whatever reason. We don't know. So what do? I get out of my car, I leave it on, I get to a safe distance, maybe keeping an eye on this person. If he starts walking back with me, that's probably that's a good sign, because that means that he doesn't want to be near the car either. You go off the evidence. And the evidence so far, this person is showing that his intention is not, in fact, to steal my car. So I give him a safe distance. Maybe I grab some binoculars or whatever, and he points out. And if he points out and I can see the bomb on my car, there you go. I believe him now. Do you see the difference between belief and taking something seriously? I'm not obligated to believe you based on your allegation. I am, however, obligated to not make my own decisions, my own judgments, but to take your allegation seriously. And in the grand scheme of things, that's all that matters, or that's all that should matter. But because women have, now here's the thing, right? If women have been lied to be taught that being taken seriously means to believe, then I can understand the confusion. But do you understand where I'm coming from now is now the important question. Because here's the thing. Whether I believe you or anyone else believes you is still irrelevant. It still doesn't matter. What matters in a situation like yours is that you go to the appropriate people who can do something for you. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be the other half of the world, the rest of the world, whatever. If you want justice, you have to bring it forward. And here's the sad reality: the longer you wait, the longer, the harder, the colder the case becomes. And there's some statistics that I accidentally referenced, but I want to say that it's about 95-ish% of all cases that are brought forward with physical evidence that involve rape. Those also, ironically, are in favor of women. Now again, well, what about the other 5%? Well, leftist, I know you like to use springboard or anecdotes as springboards, but again, women lie. And you know, for context, here's what I think. I think that the other 5% of all cases that are proven to be false when physical evidence is brought forward are probably the psychotic wives who, who make up a story because it's obviously easier to get physical evidence from your husband than it is from a rapist. It's probably even harder to come forward when you've been raped to some degree by a random stranger than it is by your husband. Again, tying in line, going back to, well, you know, if it's hard for women to come forward, but apparently all of these, you know, this other 5% of people who were just it was so easy for them to come forward. They weren't raped. It was a setup. It was framed. So it wasn't hard for them to come forward because they didn't actually experience rape. It was something that they just crafted in their brain to just use as a story to try and get something out of it. Maybe they wanted a divorce. Who knows? But that's the thing. Context matters. And that 5% shouldn't scare you. Because if you believe that women lie, if you believe that, that there are people out there who do these kinds of things, again, once you take out those cases, that 95% becomes 100%. That 95% of all cases that are proven to be true are 100%. Because the other cases were proven to be flukes. They were proven to be setups. So when it comes to actual rape, right? This is something important that I want to point out. Let me take my seatbelt off here. I don't need this thing on anymore. This is the unfortunate truth for people who've actually experienced sexual assault and rape, is that, you know, it is a crossroads, and it sucks because I've talked to people. I know how it is. I know that when something like this has happened to you, all the stigma aside, I mean, that's part of it, but I understand that there are other reasons for why it's hard for women to come forward, such as, you know, for fear. I mean, I know I've seen some cases where, you know, women have been actually, you know, victims of their own spouses, and, you know, they were threatened. I know that it can be embarrassment for the situation, and that, of course, it can always be that stigma again. So there are many reasons why it's hard for a woman to come forward. Now, obviously, I still don't think that that's a good reason to just believe all women, but I would like to fix that problem in the first place. Now, I've always asked the question that I haven't gotten an answer to, which is, what can we do to help women come forward? Because here's the thing, right? Like, I don't know who you are, so obviously I'm not going to be naturally inclined to believe you. But that's not to say that I don't take your case, your situation seriously. That doesn't mean that I've drawn a conclusion at all. It just means that I don't know, and that's why I don't believe. See, disbelief is not necessarily always a bad thing. It doesn't mean that I'm trivializing what you're saying. It just means that I can't say one way or another as to what's right or wrong, because I don't know anything else other than the allegation. And then, like I've said in my previous videos, if we lived in a world where all we went off of truth was just what people said, we would live in a very chaotic society. And I hope that you guys can agree with that, because that is the truth. If I could just go around right now and accuse any random person walking down the street of doing something wrong that was an outrageous crime, like murdering someone, and I didn't have to prove it, then we would live in a very chaotic society. We'd all be throwing each other in prison based on the last person, one of our friends who got thrown in jail. We would find that person who sent our friend to jail, and we would send them to jail. I hope that I've made that clear, that just because people don't believe you, that doesn't mean that we don't take your case seriously. That doesn't mean that we've even drawn our own conclusion. That just means that we don't have the facts. That's how people on my side are. We want facts. We want evidence. If you can give us anything, then we're automatically much more likely to believe you. If you have something to provide. Now you might say, well, Christine Ford had all kinds of things that she brought forward. You didn't believe her. Well, that's because her story continued falling apart at every turn. When a specific thing that she said was addressed, it changed. And I don't mean it changed like, well, she said the room was blue, but it was actually teal. No, it was like, well, no, she said the room was blue. Oh, actually, it might have been like pink, right? Like her story just changed. Yeah, some of like the details were foggy. It's just that her story just changed every time something was addressed. The timelines didn't line up, so there's evidence that she was lying. Even her own witnesses basically they didn't throw her under the bus. Even her own witnesses had no idea what the hell she was talking about. So she literally had nothing at all, nothing, not a thing. And of course, the timing of it all is actually evidence to support the fact that this was a politically motivated thing. And I'm not saying that the time matters, right? I'm not at all saying that just because she decided to come out 35 years later that means that she's lying. I'm saying that the timing of when she decided to come forward lines up with what I've said about the left only caring about justice when they have a political motivation behind it. And obviously they don't want a Republican in the Supreme Court. So, Dianne Feinstein, obviously there's evidence that she was telling Christine Ford what to say, and she timed this. This was a setup. That's my point. Let me give an example to hopefully see if this doesn't resonate with people out there, to just kind of show you that I'm not speaking from a biased place. Obviously I haven't been raped or sexually assaulted, but I have something that has happened to me, and it kind of still is happening to me to some degree, that I can relate to people. Like if you are someone out there who has experienced sexual assault or rape, and you do have these thoughts in the back of your mind, like I can relate to you on some level. So let me give my story. I used to work at a nutrition store, and I pretty much got fired from there. The reason why I got fired from there was because I was so there was this energy drink that cost like $2 after the employee discount. It was cheap, and we had a sale on those things, like ongoing. It was buy 5 get 1 free. Now I became addicted to those things pretty quickly, so I didn't want to buy a lot of them because I knew I would just take them home and drink them faster than I should. So what I would do is I would have one when I came into shift, and when I got to 6 of them, I would pay for them in one transaction, because I would actually write down the flavors that I bought. That way, it wouldn't mess up our inventory or anything like that. Eventually I was kind of like, well, I feel like I should ask my boss about this. Like, I think this could be kind of, like this, if someone finds out about this and I don't tell somebody, like, I don't want them to think that I'm stealing from them. So I asked my boss one time, I'm like, hey, so just so you know, like, I've been doing this. I want to be transparent with you, just so you know, but I have been keeping things down. I do pay them off. But is this okay to do? And she said no. Which I then proceeded to go to the fridge to grab one of the ones that I had gotten earlier that day to pay for it. Now, because of the nature of the incident, because she's the manager, because the company, which I didn't know at the time, had a zero tolerance policy for this kind of thing, she had to call loss prevention. And after being on a 45-minute call with this person, writing up a statement, everything that what I did, I said that I paid for it, and I was even open and willing to let them look into it and have an investigation on it. After getting off a 2-minute phone call with my district manager, which kind of shows you that this person probably didn't really look into it, or take it seriously. Like I said, he didn't take it seriously. After less than a 2-minute phone call, we got a phone call back, and I was terminated right then and there. Now, my story, I'm pretty sure, I know that two of my coworkers believed me, and I'm pretty sure that my boss believed me. She knows how I am. We actually have difference in opinions of politically, but we've talked about everything, and we've kept it civil, and I've learned from her, she's learned from me. We're on good terms as far as I know. Now, you can say, well, she obviously did this because she was trying to find a way to get back at you. I don't think so. I know her well. I know her more than that. I don't think that was her intention. She has worked, for more context, she has worked at banks before, and she has experienced some shady activity. So she does, and she has told me this before, like she does kind of cover her own, and it's not because she has any spite against people. It's just that she's been in situations like that before, and she doesn't want to be in them again. So I think that that's what it actually is. But again, draw your own conclusions. But here's the thing, right? So now I'm still working in the same building, but I'm working on a different job. I'm working on a phone kiosk now. But you know, this reputation has followed me. And now people, you know, I've already had my fair share of encounters of people, you know, kind of, I feel like they're just trying to find a reason to accuse me of something, of stealing, when I haven't actually stolen anything. And so here's the thing. So I can relate to people out there who've gone through something like this in the sense that, you know, I know what it's like to, because here's the thing. Let me preface this real quick. So I think that the reason why the company has a zero tolerance policy for that kind of thing is because so many times before in the past, there have been situations similar to mine that upon further investigation, more times than not, the person was lying. And so they don't want to ruin this person's career or reputation. They don't want to spend money, time, and effort looking into it because, you know, it's probably going to be wrong. And here's the thing, right? It parallels that I didn't get due process. Anyone out there who comes forward will. That's an important thing to know. But I'm trying to relate to you on a different level. So, but I didn't get due process, and all those people who came before me, if that's what it is, all those people who came before me who actually did steal, they are the ones who ruined things for me. They are the ones who essentially got me fired, so to speak. And so that parallels because there are people out there who have lied in the past, right? There are people out there who have stigmatized you coming forward. And now because you've heard these stories before, where people are like, "Oh man, it's bullcrap. I got fired because, you know, they're lying. They are lying. You know, they're saying that they didn't steal when they probably did. Now, obviously, you can say, well, you probably stole too. Then, well, here's the thing, like, believe what you want, right? That now we're exactly in the same situation. I can't convince everybody that I didn't steal from them, but there are going to be people out there who, regardless of what I say, they're going to say that I obviously stole. That's the point. I know what it's like to live in a state of mind where people don't believe you. But here's the thing, I don't expect people to believe me. And honestly, I don't care what they have to say. And honestly, I would love to confront these people who I hear talking about me. I can't all of them because some of them, you know, work as higher ups and stuff like that. You know, you can't do that. But like, if I found out that anyone was saying things about me, I would confront them, because that's a real quick way to diffuse the situation and to get people to stop talking about you. I've found. But here's the thing, right? Like, in my world, in my situation, the only thing that mattered was that I told the truth, and I know I have faith that if I was given a due process, that my case would have come cleared. Now, obviously, but here's the thing: you're always going to have those people who are going to not believe you, and I get it, I do, but it shouldn't matter. It honestly shouldn't matter. If you are only in something to be believed, then you're already going into the thing with the wrong mindset. If you are seeking truth, it's probably going to cost you something. So, you know, I think that obviously God does honor people who tell the truth. I'm not always saying that things are going to initially end up pretty, even for you telling the truth, but the truth is sometimes going to cost you something. Sometimes it will, sometimes it not. Obviously, when it comes to rape, if you look at the statistics, again, it seems to me that 100% of all of the real cases have been proven to be in a woman's favor or a man's favor, whoever has been raped. And I mentioned something. This is one last thing that I want to touch on, and then I got to go. So I mentioned in my last video, or earlier, sorry, that, you know, we're at that crossroads, right? So yeah, sorry. Where I left off was at. So it sucks because, again, we're at the crossroads now of, you know, when things like sexual assault and rape happen, it's hard for women to come forward. And the irony the irony in all of this is obviously that, especially if it's a case that does have physical evidence, where there is physical evidence that could be presented, the longer the person waits to come forward, the colder the trail gets. And it just sucks because the thing that needs to happen for justice to be brought is for the woman to come forward, but at the same time it's hard for the woman to come forward, or the man. I know I'm generalizing because rape, I guess, happens mostly to women. So that sucks, right? And so that's why I asked the question, what can we do? Because if, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, even though I don't believe in it, but, if we live in a rape culture, or if we live in a society that trivializes rape to some degree, then, the question is, how can we help women come forward? Now, obviously, I don't think that telling rape jokes or anything like that is going to help women come forward, because anyone who understands the concept of a joke knows that people aren't talking about this stuff seriously. That's not even, that's not even a, that's not trivialization. Like, that's the whole point of a joke, is that it's ridiculous to say things like that. That's why it's funny. That's why whenever you're going through something that's hard, it can be very depressing, or it can get you down. But once you get past it and you look back, then you can joke about it. That's why it's a joke. The fact that I have to explain this, I don't understand. And so people literally use joking about rape as an argument to say that we live in a rape culture. No, the fact that we joke about things does not prove anything. If that's the thing. If rape was the norm, it wouldn't be a joke, would it? That's the whole point of a joke. So that's why I asked the question. I haven't really gotten a good answer, except for answers like that don't make any sense. So that's why I'm saying I propose. Here's what I propose, right? Like, I don't think that there is a good question. I think that for some women, they'll be able to come forward. For some, they won't. I don't know. Everyone's different. Everyone has different experiences. Obviously, one of my friends who I know who experienced rape, her story was not the norm. In fact, it did involve a couple of guys. It wasn't stupid freaking stop moving everywhere. It did actually involve a couple of guys. So her case was a little bit different, but she still managed to come forward, and these guys got what they deserved. So justice was served. My goodness, what is wrong with this thing? Hold on a second, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and keep talking here while I'm fixing this, because this thing's really pissing me off right now. So unfortunately, the sad truth here is that it's going to be hard for some women. Some women might never come forward, right? But everyone's different. Everyone has different, oh yeah, you guys can kind of see me there. Everyone has different experiences. Everyone handles these situations differently. And so to make a blanket statement that, because it's hard for women to come forward, that we should just believe all women, well, no, because there are women who do come forward who are proven. And again, if women out there who are set to lie anyways know that this is how we're going to treat rape, then they're going to take advantage of that. And if you don't think that they aren't, well, look around you, because that's what's going on right now with the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing. Well, that's what was going on, I should say. That's already over. So that's what I propose that we take this a step further back. I don't think that there is a good answer for that question, because that seems to be like where we're stuck at. That seems to be where culture and society is stuck at right now. They're stuck on this question of how can we stigmatize less this whole notion of rape culture, right? Well, first of all, if you guys were listening to anything that I said, I hope that you can maybe see and understand by now that it doesn't exist, right? The whole concept of rape culture in general, it doesn't exist. And the way that people try and twist the definitions of words, or that they use examples of joking about rape as an example of how we trivialize rape, that's not a valid argument. So what I propose specifically is that we take it a step further back. And I'm kind of stealing someone's argument here, but one of my favorite YouTubers said that he would much rather, read on the headlines, rapist shot dead in a ditch, than he would sing another case about, a woman coming forward with rape allegations. I agree with that. Because I mean, having to kill someone, I've never obviously had to kill anyone in self-defense. But you know, depending on who you are and how you deal with things like that, I understand that sometimes that can be, you know, that can be a trauma in and of itself. But here's the thing, right? Like, if you have to pick one of the two evils, would you rather suffer trauma as a result of something that was forcibly done to you? Or would you rather suffer, I would argue, a less trauma, doing something to protect your own life? And so, like, I can't say that either option is going to be all, you know, sunflowers and rainbows, sunshine and rainbows. But would you much rather, at least, you know, if something like this is going to happen to you, right? Would you rather have the opportunity to defend yourself, or, you know, would you rather just take it and then risk going through all of this stuff that we're going through right now as a society with the whole rape culture, where it's hard for you to come forward? You know, which one would you rather go with? And so I say that, you know, women, start carrying. Like, I know that there are a lot of people out there who are anti-gun. You know, that's the thing though. This is a decision that you have to make. If you're someone who is opposed to guns, okay, maybe carry a knife, carry pepper spray. It doesn't have to be a gun. Carry something. But if it's guns are your best option. If you are so opposed to guns, you are increasing your likelihood of being assaulted. Pepper spray doesn't always work. Knives don't always work. Guns are at least way higher percentage of successfully defending yourself than a knife or pepper spray, depending on how you use it and depending on the other person. I know people who can take stab wounds. I know people who can take pepper spray, but ain't no one gonna walk out from a shot to the face. Let me tell you that. So now the thing that sucks is obviously that, and this is kind of the thing with all this too, right? Is that, like, right now I'm hearing a lot that the rape culture exists specifically within colleges. Now, if that's true, that does make sense to some degree, because the majority of schools, as far as I know, if not all of them, they don't allow their students to carry weapons at all on campus. And so you have to make the decision. Do you want to go? First of all, the 1 in 4 rape statistic on college campuses is wrong. But if that's true, you know, you are making the conscious decision to go on that campus knowing that you are unarmed and that you have the only thing that you have to defend yourself with is your nails, your fists, basically your own body. Now, as I talked about before, men are typically stronger than women, so good luck winning that. Now, I'm not obviously saying that if rape is a thing on campus to that extreme that it should be ignored. I'm just saying that from a defensive perspective, you are willingly going into a place that you know is bad, and also knowing that you can't carry the tools necessary to defend yourself. If that whole narrative is true, then you know, again, why are these people not being persecuted? If the rape is 1 in 4, that tells me that there is nothing being done on the woman's side to stop this person from going around and raping other people, and it's not deterring what is going on. People, in order for the rape statistic to be that high, first of all, people would have to be dumb to go to a college campus where the rape statistic was 1 in 4. But you would literally have to be a bunch of sheep and just people who literally just take it. Like, okay, well, you know, this rapist is running around. Well, we can't do anything about it, so we might as well not try. Like, that tells me that nothing is being done. So, because here's the thing, it's not the judicial system's responsibility to look for these people for you until you report it. If you don't report it, the judicial system doesn't even know about it. So, what do you expect them to do? You can't expect the judicial system to just mosey on around on campuses and looking for people who they suspect is a rapist or something like that. That's not how it works. You have to come forward. You have to come forward. So I hope that women out there, if anyone's watching this whose experiences are men, you know, sorry, I don't want to be, I say women because it generally happens to women, obviously, but I hope that this video has maybe brought to light some things that maybe people haven't thought of before. I do want to encourage, you know, this video is intended to hopefully, I hope I did a good job at doing that, maybe not, but that was my whole point of this whole video, was just to destigmatize the area, to give you my perspective on where I think all of this crap is coming from on the left of why it's, you know, why you think it's such a patriarchy that we live in when it's not, and that it's those outliers, it's those well, outliers. It's those people who are actually ruining everything for you. It's the people out there who actually jump on the I believe you train that are ruining it for you, because they don't actually care about the facts. They don't actually care about you know, whatever. I mean, their intentions, I guess, are good, in the sense of like they want justice, but they want justice at a really bad cost. They want justice at the cost of possibly, oh, that was an officer. They want justice at the price of potentially unjustly ruining someone else's life. And I don't call that justice. I call that special treatment. I think that's revenge, that's slander. But the whole point of all this, if anything, I just want to make it clear that, I guess if I had to make like a motto for this or something, or the moral of my story today is that not being believed is not a bad thing. You shouldn't expect it, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that people who don't believe you off the bat are against you. That doesn't mean that people like me who don't believe you don't take your allegations seriously. At the end of the day, you know, what I mean, would you rather just be believed like all these women out there who pretty much have not come forward, or would you rather be taken seriously? I mean, if I were you, I'd want to be taken seriously rather than believed, because if I'm just believed, then that just means that I got somebody on my side. But if I'm still not doing anything about it to come forward with the problem, then nothing's getting solved. And misery loves company. So if I decide not to come forward, I'm going to be pretty miserable because I'm not getting justice, and I'm just going to want as many people to side with me as possible. And all the while, the person who did something to me, they're still going to be walking around. And would you rather want that, or would you rather have someone who isn't going to take your side, but they're going to treat your allegations as if it's a bomb threat? Do you want the person who isn't going to say you're right or wrong, but they're going to say, you know, I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, but I'm here for you. Let's you know, let me do what I can to get you where you need to be. Would you rather have the person who's going to help walk you through the process of going to court and getting this taken care of and seeking justice and truth? Or would you rather just want to be believed and ending up like all these other women out there who keep talking and talking and talking nonstop about how their rapist is still walking around, all the while they haven't done a single damn thing to bring this person to justice? I'm just saying, for my instance with my work situation, I would much rather have truth be brought. I don't care what people think about me, and I've talked about this in one of my videos during Pride Month. The more you care about what people think about you, the more miserable you're going to be. That's just how it is. That is psychologically proven. People who feel the need to be validated by other people tend to be the most miserable people. For all I know, the people out there who are looking for validation, that's the reason why they're the most miserable. Not because they were raped, because why is it that I can find a bunch of women out there who are comfortable talking about a rape allegation that happened a year ago? Meanwhile, you have all these other women who are still miserable 35 years after something supposedly happened to them. Which one would you rather go with? Would you rather take the short and narrow, or the long and narrow, or the other one? I mean, for me, I think I know what the answer is obvious for me, but that's for you to decide. But I guess that's pretty much all I've got for this video today. So, I guess until next time, this is the Conservative Christian signing out.